You know, Fazila, we are 513 days away from the end of 2015. Now, what does this mean for the fight against malaria on the African continent? What it means is that we have to take stock. We are in a position now where we have been able to save 54% of the under fives that have been dying from malaria in the past 10 years. We are in a situation where malaria as a whole has reduced by 49%. But we still have over 200 million people a year, including children under the age of 5, getting infected with malaria every single year. It means the job is not done, but it also means the amount of effort that we have been putting into controlling this epidemic is paying off. This year alone, by the end of July, 100 million nets had been delivered on the African continent in the fight against malaria. This is the biggest number that has been delivered in such a short period of time. This is credit not only to the partners and not only to the heads of state and government that are engaged in the fight against malaria, but it is the credit to the mothers, the communities that have now committed themselves to ensuring that they live malaria free by ensuring that they go and collect the nets, that they use the nets, and that they, when a child presents with a fever, they make sure that that child gets access to a facility where they are rapidly diagnosed and then treated with ACTs. Now, for us to continue to sustain these gains, and for us to also appreciate that the vision of the African continent is to end malaria in Africa by 2063. Agenda 2063 clearly states, as agreed by African heads of state and government under the auspices of the African Union, it clearly states that by 2063, we will have eliminated malaria on the African continent. In order to get there, 8 SADC nations have created an example of an elimination scorecard. This elimination scorecard takes countries beyond control of malaria to a stage where there is epidemiological control, there is enhanced surveillance, there is a focus on the programming and policy and management that is going to deliver elimination. Now, this enhanced level of the fight against malaria needs to be adopted by the whole continent. Indeed, it is an assignment that ALMA has been charged with by our new chair, His Excellency Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn of Ethiopia. Now, what are the implications of this for the African continent and for our partners? It means we have to be clever about how we use our resources. It means that we must go a step further, not just focus on the management, but making sure that we get value for every single dollar that is invested in the fight against malaria. To do this, we need financing and investment plans for every single country, for every region. As malaria transmits across borders, we must have cross-border programs for the fight against malaria. Now, these financing and investment plans must engage fully partners, public sector, and the private sector and communities in the fight against malaria. It means that we as the African continent, whether we are the African government, whether we are the private sector, whether we are civil society, must invest more in the fight against malaria. We must take advantage of innovative financing mechanisms that are in place. The public sector must allocate more budget, and the partners must continue to sustain the investments that they've been made. If we do this and develop a comprehensive investment and financing plan for the continent, not just for malaria, Because health is not just about malaria alone. It is about HIV/AIDS, it is about tuberculosis, it is about the non-communicable diseases like the cancers, it is about nutrition, it is about comprehensive maternal, newborn and child health care. It is about making sure that the society is well enough to develop effective human capital that is going to run the economy. So this investment and financing and investment plan must include all of health. In doing this, we will ensure that the post-2015 agenda is driven in a more focused manner, and that by 2063, we free up resources that had previously been invested in malaria to address other aspects of health and development challenges, because we will have succeeded in eliminating malaria. This is possible, and it is time now during this African century for us to live our vision, the vision of an Africa free of malaria.